So I hope this low quality video of a freeze frame of the anime doesn't, you know, not count as fair use, but, I'm not all the way done with the episode, but so far, I think the episode's pretty interesting. I decided this time not to just watch the episode, but to go all the way back to the first episode, and, like, micro binge the episodes, and I gotta say, it's telling a very interesting story. I like to think about time in a, systemic, paradox-free, philosophical, computational sense, and I don't entirely agree with the model of time so far that has been narrated to me and shown on screen. But the thing is, though, it's making me think about it, and that's cool. Plus, like, who cares if I disagree with their first of all, it's a cartoon, and second of all, like, I'm capable of being wrong. I'm just like a random person, and third of all, it's making me think about it, and that's the fun part. So yeah, I definitely would recommend the Rick and Morty anime now. It's going places. It's neat. At least it feels that way at the moment. I mean, if it goes south, it'll go south later. But right now, I don't know. It's like it's wholesome. It's heartbreaking, and it's like becoming Star Trek nerd style. Like, so in Star Trek, a lot of the technology is MacGuffins, but they try to explain it, and then us nerds can become immersed in that because if we transport ourselves, pun intended, to the Star Trek reality, we also have an education in how that reality works, the scientific understanding, like Star Trek STEM, which would not be accurate in this reality, but in that reality would be fully accurate. And then normal Rick and Morty is like, well, if it doesn't make sense, that's the joke. But this Rick and Morty is different. It's like, so actually, this is how that works usually, and hypothetically, we could do it that way. And as a matter of fact, it kind of does it like this. And hardcore Rick and Morty fans aren't necessarily going to like that, okay? Because hardcore fans are always going to be opinionated. This one sure is. Well, I'm not hardcore. I don't follow the cast and crew. I did hear the gossip about that one creator of the show being maybe not the best person, and sadly, I saw a lot of people supporting that person in spite of very disturbing things. But I think back to the people who made the old. My brain is slowing down because now I'm thinking of names. It takes longer when you think of names. The old Banjo, Kazooie, and like N64 like collectathons. It wasn't Rare. It was like a team of developers. They became an indie studio, right? Without the production pressures of the bosses and the shareholders and stuff. And they released I forgot the name of it, but it was a game about like a chameleon, and they had some kind of sidekick, and it was like an Indiegogo type thing or Kickstarter or whatever. Um, People didn't like it as much. It wasn't bad. Some people did like it. It wasn't like hate worthy, but it didn't feel as polished, even though there was no reason it should not have been polished. Because even though production pressures can make you release something unfinished, they also force you to adhere to guidelines and standards of quality and that kind of stuff. So it's a double-edged sword in a good way. And I also think back to Butch Hartman, who likes to remind everybody that he's the creator of your childhood. Even if you were alive before and after Fairly Odd Parents and you watched other cartoons that weren't made by him, he created your goddamn childhood. So I like to think back to criticisms of Butch Hartman because people say that his attempts to draw his own art style feel somewhat jarring because in their minds it doesn't match. In their minds, allegedly, it doesn't match what they remember the show being like when they pull the show up on the screen in front of them and rewatch it. Because nobody makes, with a few exceptions, like Hayao Miyazaki and the guy who made Stardew Valley, nobody makes a thing all on their own, okay? And even in the case of people like Hayao Miyazaki and the guy who made Stardew Valley, there is no shame in asking for help, because once Miyazaki got old, he started asking for help. There was a whole documentary about it in the bonus features of Spirited Away. But additionally, if you want to get philosophical and nitpicky about it, even if it was a solo endeavor in the actionable sense, the materials they used were made in a factory, and that factory has a history, and that history stretches back to the beginning of humanity. So there is no alone when you're in a society or on your own. And that's why I don't think removing the original creator, especially when they're like I tried to rewatch Rick and Morty, okay? Some of the earlier episodes with Mr. Goldenfold, and it felt creepy, man. And in hindsight, with that context, it felt creepier. Um, but my brain, 1 minute, it's loading. Right. If we think of the show as an amoeba, right? It can change its form, it can divide, and we want to just uh, say that the creator of the show is like the nucleus of the amoeba, all right? Did you know that for some cells, removing the nucleus does not mean death, at least not immediate death? It doesn't. Because the nucleus has the instructions about how to build the proteins that maintain the cellular machinery. So all you've done is taken the oil out of the machine. It'll still run for quite a while. And if you put another nucleus in, then it'll just become a slightly different machine over the course of time. And that's why it's fine. And I actually really like the anime so far. It's fun, and if it really bugs you canonically, and on like a nerd level, there's a central finite curve, okay? But why couldn't there be more than one? And they're both very similar, because the universe can branch. And you get a whole bunch of universes and you bundle them up. Why can't that bundle branch? Because the bundle is like its own universe. A universe where the laws of physics are conducive to little bubbles that are themselves universes, a meta-universe. And so the multiverse can branch too. Because once the multiverse talks to itself, in a sense, it is just a larger, more complicated universe. So yeah.